Useless black people. You don't know what justice means? You have no idea what justice means. You don't know what justice means. Useless black African people. You don't know the meaning of justice. Your constitution says you cannot try anybody unless the law is written. Show me the written law. Show me the written law. I want to know the written law. Talk to me now. Show me the written law. Are you okay? Don't go close. Don't try that rubbish. Don't try it. Don't try it. Go ahead and say don't try rubbish. Don't try rubbish. Useless people. You don't know law. You don't know law. Your own constitution you don't respect. Supreme Court judgment you don't respect. Then why are we in the court of law? Why are we in the court of law, I ask? Nonsense.
Drama ahead of Judgment Day as Nnamdi Kanu pushes DSS officer in court. Yesterday at the Federal High Court in Abuja, tension fled during the ongoing trial of IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu. The courtroom briefly turned dramatic after Kanu reportedly pushed a Department of State Services (DSS) officer who approached him too closely. The incident happened as the court prepared for proceedings, with judgment in his long-running case now set for November 20, 2025. Hello my people, welcome back to GistAngle, your trusted space for hot gist, calm, clear and factual news analysis. If you are just joining us, please hit that subscribe button. We bring you the headlines and help you understand what's really happening beyond the surface. Today's story comes from Abuja, a courtroom moment involving Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, and a DSS operative that has caught national attention. According to reports from Politics Nigeria and Premium Times, Nnamdi Kanu was brought before the Federal High Court in Abuja for continuation of his trial on Friday, November 7th. Eyewitnesses say that while proceedings were about to begin, a DSS operative reportedly moved too close to Kanu. As seen in this video, Kanu reacted sharply, using his hand to push the officer aside before warning him not to come too close. The brief exchange caused a moment of tension inside the courtroom before officials stepped in to restore calm. The presiding judge, Justice Binta Nyako, then ordered proceedings to be stood down temporarily to allow Kanu to depose to an affidavit in his ongoing matter. The court later fixed November 20th as the date for final judgment in the federal government 7-count case against him, a case that has lasted for years, involving allegations of terrorism and secessionist activities linked to the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB. The defense has argued that Kanu's earlier statements were made under duress, while the DSS continues to detain him under court orders. The same court has also ruled that he should have access to proper medical care while in custody. So Friday's confrontation, caught on video, adds another layer of drama to an already tense and closely watched trial. When you look at what happened in that Abuja courtroom on Friday, you can tell emotions have reached their limits. This was not just another court appearance, it was a moment that exposed the strain of a long legal battle. The video shows Nnamdi Kanu visibly frustrated, pushing away a DSS officer who got too close. It was brief, but the reaction itself spoke volumes. After years of detention, repeated adjournments, and countless back and forth between lawyers and the state, this single moment summed up the exhaustion on both sides. You could feel the tension in that courtroom, not just from Kanu, but also from the officers who have been responsible for his security through this drawn-out process. For anyone following this case closely, this incident wasn't really about the push itself. It's about what it represents, the human side of a prolonged conflict between one man and the system holding him. Every trial carries its pressure, but few have this level of political and emotional weight. And in this one, every action, every gesture, every facial expression is watched, recorded, and judged by millions of people. There is also a psychological layer to this. When a person feels watched, controlled, and confined for a long time, reactions become sharper. That's not just to justify what happened, but to understand it. In high-tension moments, Even something as small as physical proximity can trigger a defensive response. The DSS officers, on the other hand, operate in a sensitive space too. Their duty is to maintain order, and yet they must handle someone who is not just a detainee, but a public figure with passionate supporters. So it's a delicate balance, and that's what makes scenes like this almost inevitable when emotions run high. Still, this incident highlights the importance of composure, not just for Kanu, but for everyone involved. The judge's decision to stand down proceedings showed maturity. It was a moment to let tempers cool, to remind everyone that inside the courtroom, the law is the only authority that should speak. The dignity of the court depends on restraint, not reaction, and both sides have a role to play in keeping that balance. What's also interesting is how quickly this moment spread online. Within hours, short clips were everywhere, many caught without context, some exaggerated, others completely misrepresented. This shows how fragile truth can become in the age of social media. What might have been a tense but minor scene inside court quickly became headline material, debated across platforms. It reminds us how stories today are often shaped not by fact alone, but by how people interpret and share them. For Kanu supporters, this act might be seen as a show of courage, a man standing his ground after years of being silenced. But to others, especially observers, who want the case handled strictly by law, it raises questions about discipline and decorum. This dual perception is what makes the case so complex. So it's not just legal, it's emotional, symbolic, and deeply political. As Judgment Day approaches on November 20th, this small incident may or may not have legal consequences, but it may certainly affect the atmosphere around the case. It's now less about the push itself and more about what it reveals: the pressure, the mistrust, the fatigue on all sides. Nigerians are not just waiting for the verdict, they are also watching to see whether the system can deliver justice without bias or drama. Many people hope that both Kanu and the authorities can manage these final days with calm. The courtroom should not become a battlefield of emotions, but a space where justice speaks with clarity. Because in the end, whatever the outcome, how this case is handled will reflect not just on one man, but on the fairness of the process itself. So as we reflect on this moment, let's look beyond the video and the noise. What happened in that courtroom on Friday shows us how fragile peace and patience can be when people feel unheard. But it also shows that even in tense situations, calm leadership from both sides can prevent things from escalating further. This story is still unfolding, and as always, the law will have the final word. At this point, my people, we've seen how a single moment in court can stir up so many emotions and questions. Whether you see it as a sign of frustration, courage, or pressure, one thing is clear: this case is testing everyone's patience. As November 20th draws near, let's hope wisdom and fairness guide the final decisions. So tell me, how do you see this whole situation? Was Kanu's reaction understandable, or should it have been handled differently? Drop your honest thoughts in the comments. Let's discuss respectfully as always. And if you are watching GistAngle for the first time, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notification bells so you don't miss our next update. Until then, I'm wishing you peace and clarity wherever you are.
It's GistAngle.